Ghostbusters Frozen Empire hit the screens, and it was the ultimate comeback of the classic 80s Ghostbusters vibe. But now, the big question on everyone's mind is, will Ghostbusters 6 bring back the ghost-busting action? I mean, come on, Ghostbusters has been a total fan favorite since forever. Just think about it. Those quirky scientists hunting ghosts around New York City, it's iconic. And let's not forget how it blew up this whole universe of sequels, TV shows, toys, and video games. So will the ghost-fighting gang make a comeback for round 6? That's the mystery we're all dying to solve in this video, so stick around till the end. After the smashing success of the original Ghostbusters, the sequel in '89, Ghostbusters II, tried to capture that same magic, but kind of lost its spark along the way. Then, for what felt like forever, the Ghostbusters were MIA from the big screen. Remember that 2016 reboot with the all-female cast? It was supposed to give the franchise a fresh start, but it got slammed with internet hate and didn't quite hit the mark. But fear not, 2021's Ghostbusters Afterlife came to the rescue and got things back on track. And now, Ghostbusters Afterlife really knocked it out of the park, didn't it? I mean, it was like the ultimate blockbuster, giving the original film a run for its money. So naturally, when whispers of a possible Ghostbusters 6 started swirling, fans everywhere got hyped. Now sure, Frozen Empire didn't exactly score high with the critics, but hey, Hollywood's got its own rules, right? It's all about the box office numbers, and when you look at it that way, the Ghostbusters franchise has always been a goldmine when it's done right. And let's face it, Frozen Empire's nostalgia-filled vibe was practically designed to rake in those big bucks, pulling in almost $200 million at the box office. Dan Aykroyd's been pretty vocal about wanting to bring back the OG Ghostbusters crew for more sequels, but let's face it, that seemed like a bit of a long shot compared to continuing the story from Afterlife. Still, the beauty of the Ghostbusters universe is that it's wide open. Who's to say we won't see a whole new team stepping up to the plate for Ghostbusters 6? Or maybe they'll go for another reboot, hard or soft, who knows? And just when we were all wondering what's next, in February 2024, Gil Kenan dropped the bombshell that they've been tossing around ideas for not just one, but multiple future films in the Ghostbusters franchise. For Ghostbusters 6, the returning cast hinges on where the story heads next. With the Spengler family at the heart of things in Afterlife and Frozen Empire, it's a safe bet they'll still play a big role. Phoebe and Trevor, played by Mckenna Grace and Finn Wolfhard, are basically the new faces of ghostbusting, following in their grandfather Egon's footsteps. Now, Frozen Empire didn't just bring back the OG Ghostbusters, it also reunited us with some other familiar faces like Janine, played by Annie Potts, and William Atherton's Walter Peck. So if Ghostbusters 6 materializes, it could tap into that nostalgia once more, or it might focus on fleshing out the newer characters as they keep honing their ghost hunting skills. Either way, it's bound to be good. Ghostbusters 6 has endless possibilities, especially since Frozen Empire left the door wide open for more ghost-busting adventures. The story of the Frozen Empire happens 3 years after the events in Summerville, Oklahoma. Callie Spengler, along with her boyfriend Gary Gruberson, her kids Trevor and Phoebe, and their friends Lucky Domingo and Podcast, moved to New York City to help Winston Zeddemore and Ray Stantz restart the Ghostbusters. They catch a ghost in Hell's Kitchen, but Walter Peck, who's always been against the Ghostbusters, threatens to shut them down using his power as mayor. To pacify him, Callie tells Phoebe she can't participate because she's underage. Phoebe, upset, goes to play chess in a park to calm down, where she meets and befriends Melody, a ghost who was a chess prodigy and died in a fire. Meanwhile, Ray and Podcast are on a mission to collect cursed objects for examination. They meet Nadim Razmadi, who sells them a strange brass orb with ritual markings that belong to his late grandmother. Ray suspects it might be an apotropaic trap. When he tests its PKE levels, the orb releases a psionic pulse, damaging the ecto-containment unit at the Ghostbusters firehouse, which is dangerously close to full capacity. Winston decides to take the orb to his privately owned paranormal research center, where Dr. Lars Pinfield, his associate, tries to extract spiritual energy from it using an experimental device, but fails. To gather more information, Lars teams up with Trevor and Lucky to visit Nadim again, who reveals that the orb was hidden by his grandmother within a brass-lined chamber. Peter Venkman, called in for assistance, discovers that Nadim possesses latent pyrokinetic abilities. Meanwhile, Ray, along with Phoebe and Podcast, pays a visit to Dr. Hubert Wartsky, a research librarian at the New York Public Library. Wartsky reveals that the orb was crafted by a group of sorcerers known as the Fire Masters. Its purpose was to imprison Garaka, a demonic deity intent on world domination through an army of ghosts, fueled by negative emotions, which would lower temperatures to absolute zero. They discover that Nadim's grandmother was descended from one of these fire masters who prevented Garaka from escaping the orb back in 1904 during a mock ritual conducted by members of the Manhattan Adventurer Society. Unfortunately, Garaka froze these adventurers to death. The reason Garaka was trapped in the orb was because he was vulnerable to copper alloys combined with fire and lacked his devil horns, which served as a power source. During their attempt to stop a ghost from stealing a phonographic recording during a club ritual, Peck seizes the opportunity to shut down the Ghostbusters by exploiting Phoebe's involvement. This causes tension between Phoebe, Gary, and her mom, leading Phoebe to flee with Melody to Winston's research center. There, she briefly projects herself as a ghost using the extraction equipment, allowing them to interact physically. However, Melody confesses to betraying them, working with Garaka to reach the afterlife. Garaka escapes when Phoebe unwittingly recites the ritual chant, retrieves his horns, and freezes the city. Recognizing the threat posed by the released ghosts, the Ghostbusters, aided by Nadim wearing his grandmother's armor to harness his powers, prepare to defend their headquarters. Despite their efforts, Garaka breaches the containment unit, but Phoebe reinforces her proton pack with copper alloys. Melody, regretful of her actions, assists Nadim in weakening Garaka. Together, they manage to trap Garaka using the damaged containment unit. Melody makes amends with Phoebe before departing for the afterlife. As the city begins to thaw, the Ghostbusters are hailed as heroes, and Peck is compelled to support the team and reinstate Phoebe. They then set out to recapture the escaped ghosts scattered throughout New York City. Now, let's talk about how this movie sets up the next part. In the mid-credit scene of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, we see the original and new teams successfully trapping Garaka and saving the world. However, there's a hint of mischief as some mini-puffs are caught stealing a delivery truck filled with Stay Puft marshmallows. Director Gil Kenan explained to Entertainment Weekly that this scene isn't just a playful moment, but hints at more trouble brewing. He teased that there's a specific story idea he and co-writer Jason Reitman have in mind for a potential next installment in the Ghostbusters franchise. Gil Kenan's hint at a potential story for Ghostbusters 6 is certainly thrilling for fans. The mid-credits scene in Frozen Empire, with the mini-puffs hijacking a delivery truck, aligns with Afterlife's setup of the containment unit failing, indicating a link between the two movies. While Frozen Empire introduced the mini-puffs mainly for comedic relief, their post-credits antics suggest a deeper role in future installments. The possibility of them aiming to recreate the giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from the original Ghostbusters adds an intriguing layer. However, with Gozer and Garaka locked away, their method remains uncertain. The destruction of the containment unit releases decades' worth of spirits into New York City, potentially leading to a surge in paranormal activity akin to the emotion-fueled slime in the second movie. Regardless of the specific direction, the positive reception of Frozen Empire bodes well for the franchise's future success, offering Kenan and Reitman ample opportunity to continue expanding the Ghostbusters universe. Well, that's it. For now, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel to get updated regularly with the latest news and reviews on upcoming movies from us. Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.